Hello, so today we're going to look at constructing a perpendicular bisector. So, really sounds more complicated than it is, and we've actually done this before. So, the perpendicular bisector, sometimes known as just the bisector, of a line, or line segment, with endpoints A and B, is a line drawn through the midpoint, which I've labeled M, of A and B at a right angle. So I've started listing these as traits on some of the slides. So every point on the perpendicular bisector, so everywhere along that red line, is equidistant, which means that they're equally distant from both endpoints. So that means a point on the very bottom of that red line is same distance from A that it is from B, and then if we move up a little bit, that it'll be the same distance from A that is from B on there, and so on. So we can do that in incremental steps, and every single one will be equidistant, or some people like to say equidistant. So, now how exactly are we going to do this? Because that's all well and dandy, but it sounds a little bit confusing. Constructions always can be at the beginning. So, find the perpendicular bisector of line AB, where AB equals 4 centimeters. So, we've drawn lines before. I'm just going to scroll down so I can get as much on the page as possible. So, line of 4 centimeters, which means the first thing we have to do is get all our measurement tools out. So, I know that I need a ruler. I also know that I'm going to need a compass. So, I'm grabbing them both right now so I can use them. So set up your compass, set up your ruler, grab your ruler, make sure you have a pencil, because you need one for the compass, and it's always best to do any kind of drawing in maths in pencil, just in case you make a mistake. So, now we've got our tools. We want to draw our first line as our line AB. So I'm going to take mine, and I'm going to start at 0, and draw it up to 4 centimeters. Okay? So we're done. Almost step 1. Last thing we want to do is label it. So A and B. Okay. So we have our two endpoints. Now, what does it say? We want to place our compass at one endpoint. So I'm going to choose over here first and extend the compass more than halfway. So don't have to be exact, but I'm just going a little bit over halfway. Okay. I'm actually going to change the color of it as well. You do not have to. So now we're going to draw an arc on opposite sides of the line. So that means I'm just going to start at the line, and I say it says 2 arcs, right? But if you want, you can just do an arc like there, and then I'm just going to continue it and draw it downwards. Okay? So I have one big arc, one kind of bigger arc, almost in a semicircle. Okay? A lot of people don't like touching their line in the middle. That's fine. Draw 2 arcs. But for what I'm doing, I'm just leaving it like that. Now, without changing your radius distance or your separation distance on your compass, move it so it's placed on the other line now. So now I'm on, or at other point. Now I'm at point B. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, and now I'm going to draw a different arc. So I'm going to do this arc in green, just so we can see the difference and see, hey, we have our red and our green arcs meeting. And we've actually done this before when we were doing just with our circles, right? We drew 2 points and we drew 2 circles around them, and we found that, hey, they had a shaded area in the middle. Well, this is exactly what we've done now, only we didn't draw the circle. We're using something different now. So now we want to draw a line through our points of intersection. So notice I'm using this little line tool that I have on Smart Notebook. However, and it snaps into place when it's a completely vertical line. Notice that it lines up on our intersection points, right? So therefore, we know that it's actually 90 degrees through our points. So it's perpendicular, because that's the definition. Perpendicular means lines meet at a right angle. And bisect, well, it's cutting A in half, right? So it bisects the line AB in half and makes it perpendicular. So we can break up perpendicular bisector into that definition. So here, we've done that. Let's do another example, get a little bit more practice. So once again, we are starting with our line, because the only thing we're given is we're given AB, we're given a measurement there. So we're going to start it off by drawing a line 5.5. So it should be right there. We can get rid of our ruler. Then we're going to grab our compass. And let's just change our ink. So the more accurate you place it on that end point 2 depends on if your lines are going to meet up more accurately and if you actually move the separation distance, which you should not be doing. So I'm going to make it a little bit wider this time. We'll see what actually, I'm going to exaggerate it really far and see what happens. Right? So I said just over, we go over halfway, but I'm going to exaggerate it like this, right? So now let's draw one arc up here. And then we want to draw our other arc underneath. So just going to continue drawing it. Right, so I drew nice and big, even though we're going kind of into the other question. That's because I'm over accentuating how big we have to draw it. So let's switch our compass around, put it on the other endpoint, and repeat the process. Right? So now we can get rid of our compass. Doesn't matter that I just changed the separation distance because we're done. Now we put it on and draw our line through. And we can see that it bisects it. The only thing that we forgot to do, and it's really bad practice, so I apologize if you caught it, is label A and B. Because you do not want to forget which is A, which is B, because we might end up using them on other questions after you bisect the line. Right? So it's just good practice. Stay standard. Now, there are 3 questions here for you to try. So construct the perpendicular bisector of the lines listed below using only a ruler and a compass. So you may pause the video. While you pause the video and work through your questions, I'm going to go and draw my lines. So be prepared, come back, have your lines drawn, and your compass marks. Right, so welcome back. I have drawn my lines, like I said. So we're just going to start off with our compass. And notice I've drawn my lines out and labeled them properly. So now we're extending past halfway and draw one arc. Starting. Then we want to flip it around, keep your separation distance the same, and put it on B, and now draw a line there, or your arc, sorry. Get rid of our compass for a sec, and last thing is connect your lines. Okay. Notice mine's a little bit off. That's because I'm not completely accurate. I'm using a thicker pen, so it shows up a little better. But if you're working from page, yours should be completely accurate. So, next one we're going to do is this CD. I'm going to do it in a different color because it's going to overlap our other question a bit. So, we have to extend it out a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to take this and just move it to the side. There. So, put it at our point and draw our first arc from C. Now let's switch it around. Put it on D, and we'll draw our second arc. Okay. And lastly, straight edge and connect your intersection lines. So, fix that one a bit for myself. That one lines up a lot better because it's a little bit more accurate. And last one. So we have this EF. I drew mine actually on a little bit of a slant. Just to show you that it really doesn't matter. We can bisect anything we want. Doesn't matter if it's slanted. Right? And I would just use the same separation distance as my last one because it was over halfway. Right? Because we know that it doesn't matter how big it is. Just bigger your arcs are, the kind of more accurate it could be. but it all depends on your area as well, how much room you have. So obviously you can see that our distance apart there is going to be bigger, and they're taller if they get wider. So what I mean is simply this: if I want to make that line, say here, whoops, for my arc's there, right? Not only do they get wider, but they get taller as well where they intersect. And I changed that, so I don't know if that's actually going to work out well. So if it doesn't line up perfectly for those second set of lines, we kind of know why, because I had moved the separation distance. But I think I put it back to the proper one. So as you can see, they line up. But we have to just do it over halfway. If not, we won't actually have them touch and be able to intersect if it's just less than half. But yeah, the bigger they are, you can see that we still get those accurate lines. So you can always go back and check if you've done it by just extending it a little bit more and checking.